They call me a monster, a beast, the terror of the Philistines. But I was once a boy, a son, a dreamer, just like David. I never wanted war, but war was all I ever knew.
Take a second and click the subscribe button. Thank you for subscribing. Let's get back to the story.
Goliath woke up with pain in his knees. His armor didn't fit right anymore. It was made for him when he was younger and smaller. Now it pinched his skin. Saul and the Israelites assembled and camped in the valley of Elah and drew up their battle line to meet the Philistines. 1 Samuel 17:2. Another day, he said to himself,
They trained me to fight, to crush men, to silence nations. But with every battle, I lost another piece of my soul. My strength became my prison, my roar cry no one could hear. For 40 days, I stood before Israel's army, calling for one brave soul to face me, not because I thirsted for blood, but because I hoped someone, anyone, would end my torment.
The Philistine army commanders used him as a tool every day for 40 days. They made him walk into the valley. Every day, he had to shout at the Israelite army. Every day, he had to dare them to fight. For 40 days, the Philistine came forward every morning and evening and took his stand. 1 Samuel 17:16. No one ever came. Goliath knew why. He was too big, too scary. The commanders knew this. They didn't want a real fight. They just wanted to scare the enemy. Goliath was good at being scary. He had no choice. When you're good at something, people never let you be anything else. His helper was a young man named Naboth. Naboth was kind. He looked at Goliath like he was a person, not a monster. That was rare. They'll send me out again, Goliath said. Yes, sir, Naboth replied.
No one will fight me.
No, sir.
Tomorrow will be the same.
Naboth said nothing. What could he say? They both knew the truth. A champion named Goliath, who was from Gath, came out of the Philistine camp. His height was 6 cubits and a span. 1 Samuel 17:4. 6 cubits and a span. That's what they always said. As if numbers could explain what it felt like to be him. As if height was all he was. When Goliath walked to his spot in the valley, he didn't shout with energy anymore. He just said the words, the challenge, the insults, the threats. He had said them so many times they meant nothing now. He stood and shouted to the ranks of Israel.
Why do you come out and line up for battle? Am I not a Philistine? And are you not the servants of Saul? Choose a man and have him come down to me. 1 Samuel 17:8.
The words felt empty in his mouth. Choose a man. But no man would choose him. The Israelite soldiers wouldn't look at him. That was fine. He didn't want them to look. All his life, people had stared, or they had looked away. No one ever just saw him. Goliath couldn't see well anymore. His eyes had gotten worse over the years. The sickness that made him grow so tall had taken his sight too. Everything far away was blurry now. He used his ears more than his eyes. He heard footsteps. Light, quick footsteps. Probably another kid throwing stones for fun. It happened sometimes. Young boys testing their courage.
Then a boy stepped forward. No armor, no sword, only faith. He looked at me not with fear, but with a light I hadn't seen in years.
Faith walked where fear refused. He said to David, Am I a dog, that you come at me with sticks? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. 1 Samuel 17:43. But this was different. This boy had a sling, a real sling, and he knew how to use it. Goliath could hear it spinning, cutting through the air. The sound was sharp and focused. David said to the Philistine, You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. 1 Samuel 17:45. Goliath heard the boy's words, bold words. For the first time in 40 days, Goliath felt something new. Hope. This boy was actually going to fight. Maybe this could end. Maybe after all these years of being used, being stared at, being alone, maybe it could finally be over. He took a step forward. His knees protested. His armor was heavy. The boy was running toward him, not away, toward. No one had run toward Goliath in years. Everyone always backed away.
In that moment, I saw myself, what I could have been, a man who fought for truth, not pride. Perhaps his courage was my answer. Perhaps this boy was sent, not to kill me, but to free me.
Reaching into his bag and taking out a stone, he slung it and struck the Philistine on the forehead. The stone sank into his forehead, and he fell face down on the ground. 1 Samuel 17:49. The stone hit him right between the eyes. Goliath didn't feel pain. He didn't feel afraid. He felt relief. He had been tired for so long. Tired of being a weapon. Tired of being alone. Tired of being too big, too strong, too much. Now it was over. As he fell, The ground seemed to rise slowly to meet him. In that long moment, he thought about his mother. She had cried when he kept growing. She knew what the world would do to him. He thought about the other children who stopped playing with him when he grew too big for their games. He thought about Naboth, his kind helper. He hoped the young man would tell people that Goliath had been brave, even if it wasn't true. He hoped someone would remember that he had been a person, not just a giant. The ground came up fast, and Goliath felt small for the first time in his life.
They will remember me as the giant who fell, but I pray they remember the boy who believed.
David took Goliath's head as a trophy that day. He never knew the giant could barely see. He never knew Goliath was in pain every day. He never knew the commanders used him like a tool. He never knew that Goliath's last feeling was relief.
The Israelites celebrated. The Philistines fled. History was written. Everyone remembers the brave shepherd boy who trusted God, and they should. David's faith was real. His courage was real. God's deliverance was real. But no one remembers that the giant was just tired. No one remembers that Goliath was a man before he was a monster. No one tells the story of the boy who grew too tall and never stopped growing until the world couldn't see him anymore. Only what he could be used for. Two men met in a valley that day. One was chosen by God. The other was chosen by no one. For nothing, except to be big. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16-7. Perhaps if someone had looked at Goliath's heart instead of his height, the story would have been different. But that's not the story we tell.
Please subscribe for more Bible Talk daily. See you in the next video.